Hey, what's up everybody? BDO44 coming at you another video. Alright, so the score was 116-111. The Lakers got the victory at home against the OKC Thunder and gave ourselves a chance to finally see 500. The Lakers are tied with the Thunder for the 7th place, I believe, although the standings haven't been updated. That's what it should say. 37-37 Lakers. And we're super happy about this win, man. I can't even tell you how pleased I am to see how uh, intent our team was to coming out and getting to a good start and then proceeding to take it home. We did have some issues down there here and there, trying to keep the lead, but ultimately Anthony Davis, Dennis Schroeder, um, Austin Reeves, Lonnie Walker, Lonnie Walker. It was just a really, really good game from our guys as a whole. I think we had 5 players in double figures. Just really good stuff, man. I got to give credit to Josh Giddey, who he just put up one of the best lines you'll see. 27 points, 18 rebounds, and 7 assists. Just spectacular stuff, man. I didn't realize he was killing it on the glass until I looked up at the end of the game, and he had 15 boards. I'm like, how in the heck did this man have 15 rebounds? Another thing that I think it's noteworthy early on to say is here's another game where offensive rebounds really told the story. I think we had about 14 of them. I'm happy about that, but I think we gave up 11 of them. Very unhappy about that. This is the second game in a row we've given up double digits offensive rebounds. We have got to figure this out. Let's see. Vanderbilt had 9 boards, 3 fouls. I didn't agree with none of those fouls. Every last one of his fouls I thought he could have got away with in different games. I don't care that he only scored 1 point. We never judge him about that. We appreciate him on the glass. We appreciate how he helped us as best he could, but they just pretty much, I mean, every time we look up, he was getting a touch foul, a little silly foul that didn't even, barely any contact, that kind of thing. So that's what stood out as well. I didn't really like that. Yeah, man, Anthony Davis is spectacular, man. I got to say, for all that we've been calling him out, he really came out today and gave me exactly what I wanted. Handled the pressure well, dominated on both ends, hit shots from all over the place, dunked the ball repeatedly, offensive rebounds constantly. Anthony Davis gave me exactly what I want from Anthony Davis on a night-to-night basis. If he does this every night, I'll never have a bad thing to say about him. Never, ever, ever, ever. This is exactly what I want to see from Anthony. Just an aggression, man. It doesn't have to always show up in the stats at 50 and 14 and 20 or whatever stats. It don't have to be like that. But if you just come out with the intent on getting to your spots, being aggressive, calling for the ball, and being demonstrative against those guys, we're going to have success every night. And not just like what I saw from him overall. His attitude was right. He was talking in the huddle. You know, I don't get a chance to see how the huddles look a lot of the time based on the links I'm usually watching. But the link I saw tonight really had a chance to zero in on him in the huddle. And he was talking, he was screaming, he was making sure that everybody understood where they need to be. I just saw a lot of continuity tonight. I really want to give credit to Malik Beasley. We've been killing Malik Beasley in the starting lineup. And I just thought that he really contributed a great deal. I think he led the whole team in plus minus, if I'm not mistaken. And hit about 2 threes. I believe he was a plus 10 or something like that. So I really like his contribution off the bench. I think the experiment of bringing him off the bench is successful thus far. What else, man? Wenyen Gabriel, I think he had like 7 boards, 8 rebounds. I think that's how that went. Definitely like what I saw from him in the limited minutes we saw from him. Rui Hachimura came in, did a few things. Got a steal, a real intense steal on one of the players. I don't remember who it was he stole the ball from, but it was a good one. And did some things in limited minutes. Austin didn't really have the greatest efficiency night. This wasn't like that. I think he was like 3 or 14 or something like that. But he did chip in with like 8 or 9 assists. I don't remember. 4 or 4 from the free throw line for sure. And contributed to the offensive rebound, I believe. So it wasn't an efficient night scoring the ball, but ultimately he was able to help us a lot in other areas, which is always what we want to see from our guys. His impact was felt big time. Dennis Schroeder, man, I want to give Dennis Schroeder a whole lot of credit for how he played in this particular game, man. He was just fantastic in the fourth quarter. I think he had over 11 points or at 11 points in the fourth quarter. I don't know what he ended up with, but he was just really, really helping us all night long. Just doing various things, shooting mid-range jumpers, falling away, teardrops and stuff like that. He was really, really in his bag tonight, driving at the rim, just being intent. A couple of bad turnovers here and there, but I just thought that the majority of what we saw from Dennis Schroeder was really helpful when he met the moment once again against his old team, OKC. Let's see, man. I'm over the moon tonight, man. I know I don't sound like it, but I'm thrilled. That game was fun to watch. The team showed up. I'm not happy that we had a 17-point lead dwindle down to nothing. But overall, I think that Anthony Davis and Malik Beasley and Lonnie Walker, my goodness. 20 points, 3 steals. I believe it was 4-7 from behind the arc. You got to give the man credit. Didn't I tell us? I know I've been screaming this for the last month and a half, 2 months. We don't want to remove Lonnie Walker from the lineup because he can do this. You know, the last time we saw Lonnie Walker with any extent of real minutes, he did this kind of thing right here. It's probably like 25 points, 3 steals or something. Like, that's how he always played. 4 out of 7 threes. That's how it always is. So it's like, that's why Laker fans are so upset. Because even if you could try to make sense based on how things could work theoretically, if a certain guy's on the floor and has a certain player next to him, he could have space and all that stuff is really, really real. But it's hard to sell certain things to Laker fans when we see a guy go out for 30 points. You know what I'm saying? Go 8 for 8 at the line back in December. He's still on our team healthy and he can't get off the bench. It's like, nah, you can't make us forget what we've seen. You can't sell us the idea that a guy who's really, really good just simply can't play just simply because you decided that it's that way. I'm not rolling, and I'm glad we were able to see, with D'Lo's absent being a last-minute scratch, Coach called his number with confidence, and he went out there and delivered. I couldn't have been more happy to see him deliver. The last thing you want to see is him have a cold night in a situation like this, but he didn't. He was a big part of why we were able to get the victory tonight, and I don't doubt that his perimeter shooting was just what the doctor ordered, and so were those steals. You know, give the Lakers credit. You know, the defensive end. The OKC Thunder only had 10 turnovers. We had 9 steals as a team. Only 1 unforced turnover for the Thunder, so that is credit to be given to them, but even more credit to get to us because we were taking the ball from you guys, left and right. So I just love what I see from the steals category. From multiple players with double steals. Just great overall effort in that way. Let's see, what else happened down there? I think it was Dennis Schroeder had a block or something like that. I think Austin Reeves had 2 blocks or something like that. So you saw some interesting stuff with the rim protection. Guys were definitely doing their job. I skipped back to the OKC side of things. I just JRE stood out in my mind so very much in regards to this game because he walked out of there with probably like 12 points, and I'm pretty dang certain that every single shot he took was a concession basket that we let him take. I think we gave up concession baskets to Dort, concession baskets to Joe, like real shooters. So if I have a real gripe with this basketball game, I just thought that our perimeter defense wasn't even good to the smallest degree. I thought our perimeter defense was bad. I say it's usually very bad, but I think it was different tonight because I think we were clogging the paint a bit more because we know how Shai Gilgeous-Alexander likes to attack. So I think they were overplaying the paint to a degree. I think ultimately the gamble worked because we won. But you can't play the perimeter like that most nights and get away with it. You cannot. Far too many times did we have ourselves make a big 3-point shot and then proceed to give up a 3-point shot on the other end. And it wasn't because of anything other than the fact that we were just playing off of guys like 8 and 9 feet off of dudes. So it's just like, look, it's certain philosophies. It's like I say about rolling the basketball. Certain things you want in your repertoire, but you don't want to make a habit. And the way that we've been playing off of guys in the perimeter, if we're lucky enough to make the playoffs, I do not want us to think that won't be the bane of our existence, because it will be. You cannot play off of people like we did tonight and have as much success as we found tonight. It's just not going to happen very often. So I thought we played well in the interior. I think we did a great job on SGA. You know what I mean? I think, as I'm saying, we clogged the paint for him, even though he walked out of there with 27 points, 8 assists, or 8 rebounds. I don't remember what it was, but he walked out of there with a good, comfortable amount. It was under his average at 31. And I want to give Dennis Schroeder a lot of credit for that, Vanderbilt a lot of credit for that, and everybody else who's thrown on him at any given time. We did a good job on him. And Jalen Williams had it especially. And when I say Jalen Williams, I mean J-Dub, Baby Magic Johnson is what I call him. He didn't have that kind of night tonight. I think he only had like 10 points or something like that. Very inefficient night. Second inefficient evening in a row for him. So Staples Center has not been kind to J-Dub at all. And we're happy about that. What else was going on out there? It was a lot to say, man. Aaron Wiggins hit some big shots for his squad. Here's something that I think you guys might find is interesting. My perception of Troy Brown's game. I think he walked out of there with like 2 out of 10 or something like that. 6 points, bad stats. But I think that was the best 2 of 10 performance I had ever seen. Truthfully, that was the best bad stat game you'll ever see from a guy. I don't remember most of his misses. And the 3-point shots he hit were timely. I think he got some steals that were timely. He had some key rebounds. So it's like sometimes it's not about how much you do. It's about what you do and when and the impact of what it is that you do. I think Troy's, even though all of his misses were bad, obviously, and I don't remember any of them, all of the makes that he made, every little thing that he did was done at the right time, I think. So that was just my perception of how his game was. It didn't necessarily have to translate that way. Maybe if I saw the replay, I see it differently. But I just felt like he looked like he played well, despite the stats telling you a different story. So that's weird. That doesn't happen very often to me where I see it that way. What else, man? I think I landed on most of what I wanted to say. I think so. I know that obviously we got to give Anthony Davis and Lonnie Walker. Who else who's really, really impactful in this game? Malik Beasley off of the bench. I just really like that whole thing. As I said in the halftime video, I was appreciative of the fact that we finally seen Anthony Davis and Wenyen Gabriel on the floor at the same time. That's something I'd like to try to see us experiment with more often. Yeah, Vanderbilt, I like him on the perimeter. Yeah, a lot of stuff going on down there with offensive rebounding, but not being able to get the putbacks and stuff like that. But, at the end of the day, guys were fighting extremely hard. The paint was physical as heck. There was a scrum down there every play. Got to give credit to Anthony Davis and the physical nature of how he was asked to play out there and how well he did. Banging down there with Jay Will, the other Jalen Williams, who we were also giving concession baskets to, but he didn't hit too many of them. He hit one in the end, which I wasn't pleased with because it was a close game and he stepped straight into it. But it was, like I said, all night long we were playing the percentages with the 3-point shot. A little exaggerated. And my thing is, look, we could play the percentages, but let's just mix it up some. Let's not be so predictable. Let's not allow a guy like JRE to step into like 6 jump shots. If he's hit a couple of them, then he's hot. You got to give Lou Dort credit. I think he hit like 5 threes tonight for his squads. He bounced back huge from a very anemic basketball game against the Clippers. And, that's something that you want to say and stands out there. What else, man? Somebody's on this team that I'm not thinking about that I want to give credit to. Our Los Angeles Lakers played a pretty good game as a whole, man. And I just love the fact that Lonnie Walker had a massive to do with that. Even though I said I wasn't sure that we could win this game without D'Angelo Russell, we were able to, and that's because Lonnie was able to give us so much production on both sides of the floor, So hopefully this will allow Lonnie to get back into the lineup somehow. We can squeeze him back in there. I want to encourage the coach to also think about Max Christie as well, because I think just where you found that trusting Lonnie Walker may not be the worst thing in the world, I'm certain you'll find the same with Max. And what else, man? I just think it's one of those situations where I want to say to Austin Reeves, now that you're ascending into stardom, the one thing that you're going to have to guard against is people taking the ball from you. Your Achilles heel is definitely still your ball handling. Even though he has some nice moves, we saw him cross some people over. I think he crossed J-Dub up real nice earlier, even though he didn't make the finish on the play. He has deck moves, and we know what he can do. And he has flair to his game that he's adding to every day. But it's the simple things, driving into the paint, not the flair things. It's the simple things when it's time to shorten your dribble and stuff like that. He's going to have to get better at that stuff if he wants to continue to be a ball handler in this league. Because even though that wasn't necessarily what we saw tonight, I see it coming. That's exactly where they're going to be able to get him. It's putting your best defender on him and trying to take the ball out of his hands while he's dribbling. So I think that's where he's going to get better. And as he does, of course, he'll continue to put up the production. But tonight was not an efficient night for young Austin, but I still think he helped us quite a bit and didn't miss any free throws. We shot 71% as a team. It's in our head a little bit, low key. I think it is. Anthony Davis missed several clutch free throws, and luckily enough, they didn't necessarily have the game on the line, but you were up by 4, that kind of thing, up by 5, and he's bricking close free throws. So we want to see him continue to put in the work and try to sharpen his free throw, shooting as we lean into the playoff time, because he's going to have to be able to hit clutch free throws. We don't want it to come down to our season and us bricking one, because there's a very good chance he'll be at the line in a situation like that. So let's work those demons out now. Let's acknowledge them, and let's not overthink them. Just keep shooting. So yeah, that's what it is, man. Dennis Schroeder so much helped tonight, just with everything that he did, man. I'm just thinking about how effective he was chasing guys around, and then on the other end, giving us so much on the offensive end, man. So, it's just one of those situations where this team must win at all costs. So in a game like this, when you had already dropped the game to the OKC Thunder in a way that did not make us very happy, and then came back and got a big win against them, now we needed this one for sure, and we're able to pick it up. So I'd say the homestand is going pretty well. We've won these 3 games thus far. We got another one against the Chicago Bulls before we then head out on a 5-game road trip starting in Chicago. So back-to-back against Chicago Bulls. Game starts on Sunday at 12:30 Pacific time, 3:30 Eastern. And it's going to be a lot to say about the Chicago Bulls, because, of course, we got Pat coming in, and he's going to want to get his pound of flesh out of us in both of those games for certain. But honestly, I don't know that Chicago's better than OKC. Truth be told, they're fighting for their playoff lives just like these teams over here. But I just don't know. We will do homework on the team and we'll tell you. But I was really impressed with OKC's fight. Even though they were down by 17, they did not give up. Even though they had some guys who were shooting a bit inefficient, they still managed to crash the glass like crazy and just ultimately put themselves in a position to have a fighting chance. SGA, with all the defense thrown at him, he still was able to get his 27 and 8. Like I said, Giddey, the monster stat line, just super monster stat line. And, give credit to our team who did not budge, man. Anthony Davis showed up and showed out. I think he had like 37 points. Stats are so very vague to me as it pertains to all the numbers that were on that page. But I know he had over 14 points, 14 rebounds, and I think it was like 37 points. Just monstrous, very, very monstrous stuff. And I saw him hanging on the end of the game. He had his arms pulling down on the net, and I could just see the pressure that he's been dealing with, the pressure that he's put on himself to play well in this particular matchup. I just saw it. I could totally see it, and I think he handled it well, man. The question that we asking him is, can he handle it? Can you come into this building when the pressure's high and perform? And we were saying the jury was out. It was a couple games. We didn't think that we saw the heart. We didn't see the intensity. We didn't see the intent. But we called him out, drug him through the mud about it repeatedly, and he told us all to relax. And ever since then, he's been balling. He's given us every reason to relax ever since then. And look, that's what we need going into the final stretch of these last little 8 games, whatever it's going to be. It's been fun to see him have a stretch where he's been healthy, regardless if he's been good or bad. He's been healthy, because I know the more healthy games he has, the better rhythm he's going to get in, the more dangerous he becomes. And that's what it is for him. Can we just have a nice long end of the season where every single game he plays and every single game he walks away healthy? If we can see that, I think we got a good chance to be the NBA champions as anybody. Because that's really what it leans on for me. Do we have a healthy Anthony Davis playing at this level while everything else rotates around him? And if we could get that going at its highest level, then I don't know how many teams can really out-strategize our roster in a 7-game series. I don't know how many. I don't know that many teams are constructed to beat our roster, to be honest with you. So it's just about that guy staying healthy. Of course, we got to get Bron back and get him squared away 100%. But I really do believe winning and losing is on 3. It's all on three, man. It's all on three. He's going to have to mask other people's mistakes. I think he did a great job of that tonight. Guys were missing layups. Austin Reeves throwing the ball off the backboard on 1-3. I don't know what my man Austin was doing, but it caromed off the side of the backboard right into Anthony Davis's hands, and he gave us an and one in that situation. So many offensive rebounds turned into buckets tonight for AD, and I just felt like he was the star on the floor tonight. He really was. He stood up, stood tall, and did what he needed to do to lead the team to victory. So it can be a different guy every night. The last two nights it was A. Reeves. Tonight it was AD, and he had help, man. I really think Dennis Schroeder definitely deserves as much kudos as anybody for how hard he played. And like I said, Lonnie Walker, when you got Lonnie shooting like that, getting steals, and you got to give him credit because obviously he hasn't played in 6-7 games. So to step on the floor and give you that performance in a late game scratch, it just shows you what's beating in his chest. It shows you exactly the type of person that he is. Not many would. Not many would be ready, Not many would be able to find continuity in a situation where people are looking to you to play with people that you basically ain't never played with. And you consider how many times have we seen Lonnie Walker since we made this trade? The trade is what pushed him down the depth chart. So we basically hadn't had him on the floor with a lot of these guys. And I think that's what actually ended up hurting us in the third quarter when we started seeing OKC get back in the game. Defensively, the lineups that we had down there, they never played with one another, and they didn't particularly have great defensive players in it. So we kind of got away with that particular rotation. I think it was Lonnie Walker, Austin Reeves, Beasley. It might have been Troy and Winion or something like that. I don't remember. It might have been Rui Hachimura and Winion or something like that. It was just not a good lineup for us right there. Not at all. Yeah, so that's one of those situations that I kind of didn't love. Although I will say this. Lonnie Walker, I think, could probably play more one if we groom him to do it. Not to say that we need him to play one, but in situations where you might be down a point guard, I want Lonnie Walker to start grooming himself to be that type of player. He'll help himself a lot if he can start developing those type of tendencies, because he can already pass better than people think he can. You know what I mean? All he has to really do is just kind of work on some of those point guard skills, kind of just have that as a secondary option for himself to be able to be slotted down to the one, because he's so convenient to put at the one. You just don't want to put him at the one because of his skill set. So I would tell him over the next several years, that's still going to be the case as you grow older in this league. So yeah, you might want to. Most guards, most shooting guards should have some passing, some floor general, basic understandings, just in case, especially in the new NBA as things are starting to change. They're going to want to put you at the one if you're shorter. It makes it easier. So that's what I would say to all the guys who are shorter. Just get some point guard skills, even if they're just basic point guard skills. You want to be able to do it. What else? Man, that's where my head is, man. It was a lot of good to say about both teams. You saw spectacular performances. Guys lived up to the expectations. I didn't see too much jitters. I think it was hard to gauge because I was watching the game from my end. But it didn't look like teams were cowering under the bright lights or nothing like that. Guys played well. And so that's really what it is, man. The Los Angeles Lakers have once again shown up and met the expectations of the moment. These are must-win basketball games. And we would have lit them up if they lost this game. We would have lit them up if they didn't play well. If AD didn't show up, we would have went crazy. If our coach didn't have decent rotations, we would have been going nuts. But to be honest with you, this is probably the best game I've seen from Darvin. Of course, I always got something to say about a rotation here or there. But you figure, if you're going to have a late game scratch like what we had, you just want to see him find things that work, especially under the pressure when the game is this important. And I thought that he could have went a lot of different ways that may not have worked. But he went with Lonnie Walker. He continued to start Austin Reeves. And I thought we did pretty good. You saw certain things that we just been asking to see. Winion and AD, as I said, little stuff like that we've been calling on. And so, yeah, that's what I want to say, man. Very pleased with how this game turned out for our team. Salute to Kobe Minute, of course. Never want to forget that. But the seventh place feels pretty good. And this Minnesota Timberwolves matchup that's coming up at the end of this Chicago run is going to be the next best thing in regards to huge games that we must not lose. Because clearly, with the standings being as they are, things are going to be real tight by then. But we can help ourselves if we can get a couple wins against Chicago. So that's what we're going to have to try to do homework against those guys and see what comes of a back-to-back against them. We had a triple back-to-back, if I'm not mistaken, against the Spurs earlier this year, or maybe a back-to-back and then like a game between seeing them once again or something like that. So this isn't new for us, having a little mini-series type of thing like this. To have it against the Bulls is a bit different. Not say I don't think I've ever seen that in my life. I'm certain I haven't, but let's see what it brings us. That's so strange, man. You only see Eastern Conference teams twice have a back-to-back. That's just I've never seen that. But and at the end of the season, at that, all year long, these two teams ain't never seen each other. We have not seen Zach LaVine, DeMar DeRozan, Alex Caruso. We ain't seen these dudes all year long, and we're gonna see them back-to-back. So yeah, and it's for all the marbles, and they're fighting for their playoff lives just like us. So with the bulletin board material that Patrick Beverley's undoubtedly going to give them and all of our different secrets and different things that he knows about the old team we were before we made the trade, I got a feeling it's going to be a real hard task, especially on a Sunday afternoon game. You know I hate those. Sunday afternoon, 12:30. That equals brick shots, bad calls. So hopefully it doesn't play out that way. Hopefully we'll just get a big blowout in our direction. Play well, because we can't afford to lay any eggs, and we're not taking anybody for granted. Control the paint. Respect Vucevic, because he's a good player, and you don't want him to go off or nothing like that. But we know it's Zach LaVine. We know it's AC. We know it's Pat Bev. We know it's DeMar DeRozan, and they're going to try to score 150 points between them. That's how it's going to go. That they got like a Clippers kind of vibe to their team in a way, when you consider the type of players that they got down there, with wings being the centerpiece, and it's kind of like a Clipper matchup. You got Patrick Beverley playing a point guard. They got like I never really looked at it that way, but yeah, that's exactly how they look like. They're kind of constructed like a mini Clippers in a way, with Zach and DeMar being Kawhi and PG, and then you look at like AC, maybe you kind of slip him in and consider him like a Terrence Mann-ish type of player, or a Norman Powell. You see what I'm saying? It's almost like they mirror them in a way on the offensive end per se, with the wings, not necessarily defensively, but whatever. The point is, we got to deal with the athleticism and the shooting ability of a Chicago Bulls team that's going to come out and want to play a very, very, very good game against us. So that is something that I know they're going to do. They are very confident bunch. They can put up a lot of points really quickly, just like this OKC team can. And to see that we held this OKC team under its 120-point mark was very, very encouraging. Like I said, holding SGA under his average, extremely encouraging. And just overall, you want to give credit to the LA Lakers for meeting the pressure of the moment, for playing in the building that brings everybody the greatest anxiety, the biggest pressure possible for the regular season, and made sure that they were the victors, getting the 2-1 season lead on the Thunder, since we only have 3 times this season. Should have swept them. But nevertheless, we were able to get this one, and we were pleased that ultimately, if there's a tiebreaker, if anything goes wrong between us and OKC, they'll be the ones getting the losing end of that. So that is a very, very welcome sign. As mentioned already, the Dallas Mavericks have lost their game tonight to whoever they played. I don't remember who they played, but they definitely ain't win. Charlotte, I think, is who they lost the game to. And because of that, they have actually fallen out of the playoffs. They are in the 11th spot right now. So, yeah, that's something to think about, man. It's us and Minnesota. I think New Orleans and the Clippers are in the play-in tournament as of right now. I believe that's how that goes. And, of course, we know KD will be back. Expected to be back next week. I think it's either Tuesday or Wednesday. Nothing set in stone. But his team also lost this evening as well. So, to the Kings. So I got to see how the standings look in regards to them. But they did not need to be taking any more losses as well. So things have not shaken up loose in any way. Just because we're in the position that we're in to enjoy 7th place or 8th place, however that goes with the T-Wolves, does not necessarily mean that if we drop a couple games against the Chicago Bulls, that we won't find ourselves right back down to 11. So we need to stay on our toes, appreciate the win that we had today, but the pressure is still on, man. It's an everyday thing, AD. We gotta get our rest, say our prayers, and be ready to battle again, because this is how the pressure goes, man. It ain't gonna stop. But I'll tell you this, we're on our way to a big-time playoff run. If we can harness all of this intensity and not burn ourselves out, that's key. I've seen many a team have so many dog fights in the regular season, only to not have any gas in the playoffs, which is another reason why I want us to go to Max Christie a little bit more, Lonnie Walker a little bit more, because I do think that would directly correlate to our guys having more gas. You mix it up a little more, because a lot of times they want to shrink the bench in this time, and I understand that that's for continuity and rhythm, but I think you'll be even better if you have healthier bodies, more players that are used to being in rhythm at a given night, by using more of them every given night. I don't know if that makes sense, if it translates. If the pros would tell me, no, that don't work, fine. But it seems to me when you're in a world where you're trying to preserve from injuries and you're trying to have as many guys be within continuity as possible, it seems like the more of them you use together, the better. The more combinations of players that are used to playing with one another, the better. That should help with overall synergy, if you ask me. Just a theory. But nevertheless, that's what I want to do. I want to see us keep these guys healthy down the stretch of these playoffs, or down the stretch of the season, so that if we go into a first round matchup, we can start the process of being able to see everything that we have to see through to get as far as we need to go. And, unprecedented things like double overtime games, triple overtime games, 7-game series, stuff like that. You just want to make sure that you got enough gas left in the tank. So, man, that's where I'm thinking about, man. This is a very encouraging win. In fact, this has been a very good week for us. I said, after we lost whatever the heck game that was, we lost at the beginning of this homestand, I said, I'm not happy about any of this, and I think it's over. But we can go on a 3-game winning streak, and you'll feel great about your situation. That's exactly what came out of my mouth. And here we are, 3 games left. 3 games later, 3 wins later, and we're happy about our situation. Sometimes all it takes is a couple victories to turn everything around and have you feeling good about it again. Which means all it takes is a couple losses to turn it around and have you feeling bad about it again. So we just must be balanced at all times, not get too high or too low, not feed into the media as they continue to hop on the train. Just let's continue to do what works, because at the end of the day, what got you here will get you home, simply put. So that's what it is, man. I think I'm going to give the game ball to Anthony Davis. I just really love how he approaches basketball game from start to finish. He gave me everything I wanted to see, both within the lines and on the sidelines. And, I just didn't feel cheated in any way by him tonight. And, of course, the other guys that we've already mentioned, Beasley, Schroeder, Austin, Vando, Wenyen, everybody who contributed tonight. Diaz, guys were fantastic. I just really, really love what I saw there. Hopefully, Coach will love what he saw tonight too, and find ways of incorporating Lonnie Walker into the lineup. I don't want to hear nothing about him not being able to play no defense with 3 steals tonight on the game. I don't want to hear it no more. So that's what I got to say, man. Excellent win, Lakers. We beat the Thunder. We're back in the playoff hunt with a real chance at possibly getting a 6th seed. Can you believe it? If we really win, if we really, really win from here, we can get ourselves a playoff security. So that's really what it's about. I told y'all I wanted that 6th seed from the beginning. I said, with all due respect to anybody who's talking about getting a play-in tournament, I don't care about no play-in tournament. And when these teams are this scrunched together and the top is the 6th or the 5th seed, then that's what the hell I want. I don't want the 8th seed, 7th seeds. I don't care about none of that, because the way I see it is, I've been telling us we need to win every game for the past 7 games. And I don't think we've lost but only 3 games since then. So why don't I think we can win out? Why don't I think we can win out right now? And I look at most of these teams, they're either hobbled or not good enough, about to be mathematically out of it. These teams ain't got it. Phoenix is a team we need to deal with. Timberwolves are teams we need to deal with. Obviously, with Patrick Beverly in Chicago, we got our hands full. But there's a Rockets game coming up that we need to get revenge for, and I know we're gonna beat them because we have to. And after that, I'm telling you, once we get around to that Utah Jazz matchups, those 2 Utah matchups, there's a good chance that Utah team's gonna be gone by then. And what I mean by gone by then is mathematically out of it. The way things are going right now, they got about 1 or 2 more losses. They out. So hopefully they get those losses. And then by then, maybe they'll be willing to sit some of their players or whatever the case may be, less likely to want to kill us. So that's what I want to say, man. I'm just looking down the road. And I'm just very fortunate that we're in a better position than we were a couple of days ago when we were screaming our heads off about people not being smart. We've come a long way. I feel listened to. I like the changes I see. And if we can keep this up, man, we're rounding into form at the right time. If Darvin Ham is really stepping into a new phase, which it looks like he could be, Anthony Davis is healthy, getting in rhythm, looking better every day. LeBron James, we're getting victories, which means it's more likely he comes back. It's hard not to like what we got going on down here, man. It's hard not to like it. It can teeter in either way with a couple bad losses, like we said, but the roster is not in question, and that's the point. When we assess whether or not we're done or whether or not we can continue, it has literally nothing to do with whether or not we think this roster can get it done. It's just about the game you're in that moment based on how close this little process is for all of these teams. The best team don't have to get in. It can be the best team that ultimately gets left out, and that's just because there's so few games left. So that's what I want people to understand, why I can be so high on the Lakers and then proceed to tell you the next day that this thing is over, because that's literally what it is. That's what we're looking at. So our team is meeting the challenge. They're showing a lot of heart tonight, and we want to continue to encourage them to do that. So enjoy LA, you guys. We got 1 more home game before we go on a 5-game road trip that is not going to be easy at all. But this team is built for it, man. The roster's right. The players are on board. They seem like they got the thinking cap on. And the OKC Thunder had to take a loss because of it. So we're very, very pleased, man. Congratulations to everybody. BDF 44. I thank you all for watching. I'm out.